Happy New Year, everybody, almost at least. I wanted to talk about a couple things today. So I was going to cover a little bit about the numerology for this new year for 2025, and also a little bit of some tidbits of advice that you might want to implement as you're figuring out what do you want your new year to look like. So 2025 numerologically is kind of interesting. If you add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 together, it gives you 9. Maybe my least favorite number, but don't worry, that doesn't mean life is going to end. It is a sign when you look at all of the numbers together that this is a year we are supposed to work together. 2s, leading off the 2025 is the number 2, and 2s are all about working together, learning how to function in pairs, learning how to work with people that you maybe don't agree with, as well as how do you move things forward with people that you do agree with, and finding ways to make connections and to make things work. Now, it's interesting because with the 2000s that we're in, this working together energy is a very millennial event, and it follows with the 0. Anytime you have a number that has a 0 that follows it, it amplifies it. That means this first 100 years of this millennium that we're in, we are really supposed to learn how to not just be working for ourselves or on our own, but with each other instead. We had the last millennium that was all about how do we do this? How do we figure out who we are? And how can I make myself excel and all of that? Now it is shifting into this more kind of like an age of peace, ideally, where we learn to work together. And so it's magnified in this beginning stage with the 20 part. And then you get the next 2, which means, guess what? Working together again. We're right in the middle of this lesson of learning how do we work together? What should we do to work together? And whenever you are, so when we look at the next number, 5, that means we're dead center in the middle. And that can be sometimes the hardest place to be because 5s are all about change. So it means what you've been used to, it's not going to be that way anymore. And what you think you were creating, it might not be quite what you thought you were going to create. But this can actually be a great thing. We can use it as a catalyst for amazing changes, big changes, creating great things. Or we can use it as a way of resisting and fighting and kind of trying to stay the same. And there are many different paths. Whenever we think about creating change, I think sometimes there's a lot of fear that can creep up. And there's also an energy of uncertainty that comes. It's kind of like one of the ways I describe the numerology 1 through 9 is that the number 5 is like being in the middle of the tunnel. You can't see the light where you came from, and you can't see the light where you're going. And you kind of have to learn how to trust each other. And you kind of have to learn how to have faith in the things that you don't see. And you need to make sure you have momentum to not stop, because if you're in the middle of a dark tunnel and you can't see, that train's just going to hit you if you don't keep your momentum going and moving forward where you know you need to go. So this is a year for taking action for the things that you really believe in. This is a year for taking action and being an ally and spreading compassion and sharing love. When you add it all together, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 is a 9. The 9 can mean 2 different things. It can mean unconditional love. It can mean this incredible type of compassion that comes in when you are filled with wisdom of all of the other numbers that have been received in succession leading up to the 9. It can be this beautiful time of love and gratitude and connection with the other people that we're supposed to be working with. Or it can mean endings. 9 is also the end of a cycle. So it can mean the end of a period. It can be the end of an era in a way. It can be the end of needing to recognize, what are you willing to let go of? What do you want to let go of? What are you not willing to let go of? And what are you willing to fight to inject that love into and to raise it up and to bring that compassion and working together energy that it's trying to teach us over this next millennium? It'll be a very interesting year. And whenever we have a 9-year, the energy of each month is a bit more pronounced as well. So January being the first month of the year, because it's a 9-year, it contains a lot of energy of 1, because if you add the 9 of the year plus 1 for the month of January, it gives you a 10. That 10 means there is a whole world of opportunity, like the Wheel of Fortune card in tarot. It's very similar to that. That means there are many options available, as though you can envision like 1,000 strands leading to different destinies, and it's up to you to draw down the strand that you want to create for your destiny. And what do you want to create within your community? We have a strong power for that this month in January. So you need to find your zest, find your gusto. If you don't feel like you have the energy, dig deep inside and pull that energy out and get some momentum moving forward, because it will be worth it to put that investment in now in the month of January. And then February is going to be everybody's favorite lesson right now, working together, learning how to bridge divides, learning how to build each other up in an ideal sense, learning how to create a place that works well for everyone, and finding out how we can make beautiful connections with each other. And March will be all about joy, working in bigger groups, bringing up joy, finding out where is the well of joy and how do you draw that up into your life. To get to that point, you need to hit January running, where you are ready for whatever your goals are, and you get that energy and momentum going, and you move towards it, and you do it, and you take those action steps. You can have a little bit of a respite in February for part of that month, and part of that month is going to take a lot of mental dedication, emotional dedication, learning how to work together. That way you can be ready for the ability to find this joy in March, and to feel that and to see that exuding in your lives. When April, we can work towards building some stability as well, building some stability in our communities, in our homes, in your own life. If you feel like you're needing a bit more stability, again, hit the ground running in January with an action plan so that you'll be ready with that foundation in April. One of the things that can be really helpful to do as you're figuring out, what do you want this year to shape up like? What do you want it to look like? We need to bring the power of visualization into this, because that is a very powerful way to come into being able to create what it is you want to create. What I recommend you do is to create 2 lists. So the first list is going to be, what do you not want to bring into 2025? What are maybe some things, something that feels like it's weighing you down, habits? What are some thought patterns that maybe you don't want to bring into 2025? What do you want to let go of? What are you just done with and you don't want it following you anymore? Make a list of all of those things, because it's easy to think that we know in our mind and to feel like we know, oh yeah, this and that, and I'm just going to let it go. Until you write it down on paper, your brain has not connected with the action center in your hara or your solar plexus. They have not connected together. So write it down so that you can see it on paper, and that will help you with drawing up this action plan that you need to implement in January. And the other list that I want you to create is, what do you want? If you could have 2025 be anything that your heart desires, on a personal level, on a community level, for what it looks like physically, emotionally, mentally, all of these different things, what does 2025 look like for you? Dream it, think it, see it. Then you start to become it. Write it down. It's so important. What you are writing down is programming and creating these action centers that start to set up within you to help you come into this. I think there are a lot of times that people will dream about these things in the week leading up to New Year's, or maybe just on New Year's Day even, but they don't take the time to really look at, what do I want my year to look like? What do I want to create? And sometimes people will say, well, I want to do better. I want to be a little bit more. I want to take care of things a little bit better. And they don't define, what does that mean? What does that really look like? What are you creating? Visualize yourself in January. Visualize yourself in February, March, April, all the way through. What do you see? When you are doing this, you're not setting up a hard and fast rule where you go, okay, if I'm not at this place, then I failed. That's not what it's about. It's about creating a roadmap within you that connects with that roadmap in the universe so that you can start seeing what you want to do, create that action plan, and implement it. So creating those to lists, writing that down, that will really help a lot. And then also think about, what energy do you want to bring into 2025? What, in Japanese, we talk about ki as there's an energy of happiness, there's an energy of feeling bittersweet, there's an energy of feeling sad, there's an energy of feeling lazy, there's an energy for basically any kind of emotion or action. What energy do you want to bring into 2025? Do you want to be that person that when you walk into a room, you light up the room? Do you want to be that person that when you come home, you walk in the door and you feel like, oh, I'm home. This is wonderful. I love being where I live. What do you want to feel like? What do you want other people to experience you as? We need to be responsible for the energy that we bring into a space, and we need to be responsible for the energy we present to ourselves as well. And recognizing, what energy do you want to bring into 2025, and what energy do you want to let go of and not bring with you? Sometimes people will feel so much guilt, or they will feel so much shame or so much regret that it holds them back. And so they're not actually able to live. And it feels internally as though they feel like they're doing a penance for something, but it's not really making anything better. It's not repairing the relationship. It's not changing what has been done before, because we need to gain acceptance with who we are and where we are now. Otherwise, we're wasting more time, wasting more energy. So instead, recognize, what have you been pining over that maybe you can lay to rest in 2024. Let those energies go. Bury those energies. Let it go. Acknowledge it. See what you learned from it, and decide, what energy are you? What energy do you bring into a room? What energy do you want to have when you wake up in the morning? Sometimes people feel like however they feel when they first wake up, it's just how it is. I can't do anything about it. It's just what it is. There's, what's anybody going to do? But you can. You can program into yourself before you go to bed. You can program in, I am going to wake up and I'm going to feel energetic. I'm going to be kind to myself. Maybe what you need to do is wake up and be kind to yourself and take it easy and have a slower morning. Maybe you want to program into yourself that you want to be like motivated and excited and ready for whatever it is you need to do. Program those thoughts in. It might help to write it down before you go to bed at first, because it does make it more powerful, but make that be the last thought when you go to sleep, and it's going to be the first thought when you wake up, because your mind's going to work on that while you're sleeping, and you're going to start to wake up better. Don't feel like it's going to be 100% shift immediately overnight, but you will see tweaks in how it starts to shift and how it starts to change, and you can be responsible for the energy that you give to yourself and what you create in these situations. So think about what energy you want to lay to rest in 2024, and you're not going to keep beating yourself up, or you're not going to keep being so angry, or you're not going to keep maybe making other people feel guilty. Whatever it is that you look at when you honestly evaluate the traits that you have, assess that and then do better. Don't get hard on yourself when you find yourself at certain points going, oh, I did the thing again. Just know that you can be proud that you recognized it. That's the first step. And then you can keep working towards the action plan of what you want to create in 2025. I think far too often people miss the step of recognizing, what energy do I want to bring into the room when I am in the room? What energy do I want to give myself when I am sitting alone with myself? When I am in my head thinking to myself, what energy do I want to give to myself? It is a choice. It feels like it is something that just happens until you start to recognize you can consciously dream your life awake instead of consciously living your life asleep. Consciously dream your life awake by choosing, by recognizing, by implementing, and then having gratitude, of course. I can't do a New Year's talk without talking about your gratitude box. Hopefully, many of you have already implemented this. I love hearing from some of you. I've heard from some of you that have been implementing this in creative ways. I often talk about doing it as a gratitude box where you write something every day that you are grateful for, and you put it in the box, and when you are needing a little bit of an inspiration, you can draw something out of the box. Somebody I ran into recently said that they do it in a journal, and she and her husband both have gratitude journals, and they will randomly flip to certain pages and they'll point to a spot in the other person's book and they'll read it out loud and see what things they both have had to be grateful for. It can be a great way to bridge, as we talked about, the two energy, bringing you together as a couple. Maybe do it with your best friend. If it's not your romantic partner, how about your best friend? Both of you can do gratitude journals and then have a gratitude party on certain days where you read through each other's books, or you randomly point at the pages, or randomly draw from the box and see what comes up. There's so many ways to spike some joy into your life and to be able to bring in what it is that you want, what it is that you choose. So let's work together in 2025 on making ourselves the best that we can be, not trying to do more than our best, not doing less than our best, just doing our best, being responsible with the energy that we bring into the space, and sharing some compassion, sharing some love with everyone. I hope that you find yourself in an energy of hopefulness and an energy of peacefulness, and that you enjoy your New Year's celebrations and all that January brings. We'll see you next week.